You're watching Malc Benjy, you lucky son of a bitch. Subscribe.
No, I wasn't ready.
Tough.
Alright.
It's happening.
It's
I don't do second takes.
Okay. Who's doing hello?
You just did.
Oh.
Run with it.
Welcome to Malc Benjy's Vidcast. I'm Malc.
And I'm Benji.
Right.
And we're actually reasonably on schedule. We said we were going to do the next vidcast within a couple of weeks, and
It's been a month.
has it been a month?
No, I was going for a joke. I
Okay.
don't know.
It's certainly not been 12 months.
If it's been a month, you're leaving it too long between clicking play on Vidcast, but we uploaded it in time, so
Yeah,
it's your
yeah.
fault, not ours.
Yeah.
So
here we are.
Yeah.
The vidcast number 3. I'm not going to keep numbering them because hopefully, there'll be a lot of them.
yeah, when we get to Vidcast like 7 billion, it's going to be...
Yeah.
That was a weird number to pick. It
an odd number.
could have like said Vidcast 2000 or something, but no, 7 billion.
7 billion.
Aim
we
high.
could Get to 7 billion.
Aim high.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to skip a few numbers and just go straight to the billions.
Vidcast 7 billion will be next week.
Yeah.
I've given us a deadline of a week. I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah,
We're
the next
never going to hit
vidcast
that.
will be 7 billion.
We're never going to hit that.
No. So, what's been going on in the world of movies? First of all, let's go to our roving reporter Malc for our update on who is and who isn't.
No, hang on. I'll just let me check some notes here. Okay, Harrison Ford.
Can't see the phone on it.
I'm looking at my phone.
Okay. Harrison Ford.
Harrison Ford, famous.
Famous, good.
Still
good.
famous. Still famous. Michael Douglas, very famous.
He's very famous. He's
Famous.
in the Marvel universe. He's getting famous.
Of course. Well. To be.
Oscars, Wall Street, and so on.
Yeah. Leonardo DiCaprio, very famous. Went
Wolf
away
of
for a
Wall
little
Street.
bit. Very famous
Came
again.
back. Yeah, absolutely.
Very
Yeah, a
famous.
lot of Oscar buzz. People saying, "Where's his Oscar? He's been robbed." He hasn't been robbed. He hasn't earned one. He's not that good. He's good, getting better. When he's old, I think he might deserve an Oscar. He doesn't deserve one now. He got robbed by nobody. Everyone who's won one against him is better than him. End of story.
End of story. Shia LaBeouf.
What's this? Who?
Yeah,
Say that name.
it's still not famous.
I have no idea who that is.
Shia
LaBeouf.
LaBeouf.
Is that the guy from True Grit?
Shia LaBeouf.
LaBeouf.
I think, is that not the name of the god that they pray to and the cultists pray to at the end of Dragnet?
I think it is.
I think, yeah.
Is it not French for the beef?
Still not famous.
No idea who he is.
Not
Never
famous.
heard of him.
And has apparently dropped out of the project they were working on.
So not only is he not famous, but he doesn't want to be famous, and so he keeps doing publicity stunts.
Yeah, but keeps
to
agreeing to do things just so that he can very publicly drop out of them.
Yeah, and ascertain how not famous he is to millions and millions of fans.
Yes. Ironically, we're the only platform he has left.
Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't for us, he would have dropped out of the public eye completely.
Nobody talking about him at all.
Our 5 or 6 regular subscribers must be the only people who still tweet or search Google search for him. So trailer news. One of the big unknown quantities of this year, the TMNT, erstwhile Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which are now, which were changed to ageless alien fighty turtles, and then went back to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but still with a slightly tweaked origin story according to the trailer.
There's a school of thought that they were never meant to be aliens, and that was somebody got carried away and all that. I don't believe that.
No,
that it was a plan, and then the internet caught fire.
Yeah,
and they panicked and they ran back to the comfort zone.
Absolutely, not that Michael Bay would ever admit that, but that's what happened.
Michael Bay doesn't know. He just gets to sort of foreshadow what we'll be talking about later on. Michael Bay is a cybernetically enhanced talent assassin who's been kept on ice by the Soviets and just gets thawed out to go and make a film every few years with a preset set of instructions.
Nice.
And a really low camera angle at sunset.
Spoilers.
And that's all he does.
Spoilers.
Yeah. He's not. He's just a tool of the cadre of horrible filmmakers.
So some people are saying it looks quite good. These people are idiots. It has all the same action problems as every Bay film. Even though it's not directed by Michael Bay, it's directed by
Jonathan Liebsman, I want to say.
Is he the guy that did Sorcerer's Apprentice?
Maybe.
Whoever's directed it, he doesn't have his own cojones, and Michael Bay's pulling the shots.
Michael Bay's walking in the room and swinging low.
And you can see that in the trailer. It looks overdone. It looks, too much of everything.
There's 2 or 3 shots and a line of dialogue that are straight out of the Amazing Spider-Man trailer from 2 years ago.
Given Bay's penchant for stealing footage...
Yeah.
Could well be.
He's finally stepped outside stealing footage from himself.
Yeah.
And he's now stealing footage from Mark Webb.
There is one good joke in the trailer. There's one bit that I really enjoy, which is the mask reveal.
Yeah, the Michelangelo.
It's like, it's okay, just a mask. And then he takes off the ninja mask, not his whole face, because that, it's,
yeah.
That's funny.
That's about as close to it.
Yeah.
I think, in fairness to it, if that line is indicative of how they've written Michelangelo, and to take it a little further, if Michelangelo is indicative of how they've written all 4 of the brothers, then that might be the one enjoyable thing. Because what I've liked in every version of the Turtles, the cartoon, the live action movies, the more recent cartoon, it's at its best when the brothers are interacting and winding each other up.
I agree.
Mikey's cracking jokes, Rafi's taking the huff and going off on his own, Leo's trying to pull it all together. It's the personalities of the 4 of them that make it click.
But
it's a lot of ifs.
This is the people who cast Megan Fox as April O'Neil.
Yeah.
They're not going to be that good.
No, I don't
It's
think
not
so.
going to be... I mean, I know the writers and the casting aren't the same people, but they're all working towards the same goal.
William Fichtner as Shredder. It's bad enough that he's delivering this god-awful, hammy narration to the trailer, but he's not just random, evil, scary businessman. He's Shredder.
He's the head
playing
of the Foot
Shredder.
Clan. He's supposed to be a Japanese ninja samurai assassin dude.
Yeah.
And he's the banker from the beginning of Dark Knight, but with a mask.
Why? There's tons of good Japanese actors out there. Again, we're always saying he should be in everything. Ken Watanabe.
Oh, Ken Watanabe is too good for it.
Yeah, well, yeah.
The guy that played Shang Tsung in Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. He's probably doing nothing.
He'd be a great... Was he not Shredder in the original movies?
Oh, he may.
No, I don't think he was. No, I think he was.
Shingen out of the Wolverine.
The Wolverine.
That has a
He'd
cool
be very
fight
good.
with Hugh Jackman at night time.
Yeah, he'd be super.
Slap him in the mask, he'd be great.
Yep.
Missed opportunity.
So, it's a big trailer. It's going to be a big film. A lot of internet buzz around it from the very get-go. But yeah, it does not get the Malc Benjy seal of approval.
No, we may not review it. We will probably comment on it at some point in the future. But I'm just putting this out there. If you're impatient at all for our reviews on it, at least one half of Malc Benjy is waiting for the DVD. I don't know if that extends to the other half or not.
The other half of Malc Benjy is waiting for it to be free on telly.
I did not say I was going to buy the DVD.
And hopefully on ITV, so there's adverts, so I can go for a pee. if my bladder is enraged. I tend to pee a lot more during movies I don't like than movies I do like. So that's why I want it on ITV.
I've never noticed that about you, but I'm going to look out for that now.
Yeah, do.
Yeah, so Turtles.
Start timing my peas.
Peek out.
Next up in film news, something that I only found out today, but I find quite interesting because of the connections with the real life. The sequels to The Conjuring have hit a bit of a legal break because the real life stories that The Conjuring films are based on, apparently there is another party that is claiming to own the rights to those stories, and so the producers of The Conjuring are not allowed to continue making stories. Now, what concerns me is that The Conjuring is based on a real life story, but a real life story which has lawyers attached to it. It's not just like a loosely based on,
scarier than the actual movie.
Absolutely. It's a good movie. And the reason it's part of the news section is because it's a very, very good. It's possibly the best horror movie of the past 2 or 3 years.
I'd fully support that. Yeah,
really, really good. I think in 20 years it might not be up there with The Exorcist and The Shining, but it will be up there with, people will still be watching it and talking about it in those years unless the sequels cock it up.
Yeah, even if they do, there's plenty of awesome movies that have had horrendous sequels, and you still Halloween.
But I don't think it's that good. I don't think it's Halloween. All right, okay.
I do.
All right, okay. But it's still very good.
Yes, it's very good.
Very good horror film.
Good enough. It caught us both by surprise.
It did, didn't it? Yeah.
We didn't think it looked bad, but we weren't expecting...
We went to see a quadruple bill of horror films, and it was one of them, and it was by no means a draw for either of us.
No.
But it turned out to be a
It was the also ran, and then ended up being the one we talked about. But in fairness, the other three were all ones we've seen about a dozen times each.
Well, that's true, yeah.
It was the only one we hadn't seen. But, but it's really very good.
It's real. It's actually real, and it has lawyers attached to it. Just think about that. It's a ghost story, and it has lawyers. It's that real.
Talking of things that are very real and based on real events, Noah is in cinemas very soon.
Very, very soon.
Very, very soon.
I don't know if we're going to do a vidcast review of it.
Yeah, probably not. We do a lot of Russell Crowe bashing. I think it's fair to space it out.
Okay, all right. But I recently read the comic book that Darren Aronofsky sort of shepherded into existence when he was trying to get the film made, and I loved it. I really enjoyed it. I'm not a believer. I don't think that Noah happened in real life. I
just ruined my whole based on real life thing.
I'm sorry. Well, it might be.
What
do I know? I need a pesky thing like evidence for crazy man. But
I hope we've not alienated a large chunk of our fan base there. I'm okay with it.
I don't want anyone who's going to not watch us because of that. I think if Christians are watching us and you don't mind the banter, fair enough.
If you disagree with us, I think if that's fine. But if you're so against our opinion that you're going to stop watching us for it, then fair enough.
Absolutely.
Bye. Absolutely. I'm sure you won't.
So the comic is really, really good.
I've not read it.
It reads. I will lend it you.
Thank you.
And in fact, no, buy a copy.
Yeah, I will buy a copy.
No, I'll lend it you. It's all right. Don't worry. We're not.
The publishers don't watch this.
No. It's really good. It's really, really good. It plays like a fantasy. There are fantasy elements to it, and it's kind of like a post-apocalyptic, pre-apocalyptic tale of sort of obsession, and it's fantastic. The design is brilliant. A lot of the designs that I really like don't seem to have carried over into the film. Noah wears this red cloak, and it looks a little bit like a superhero cape, and it's beautifully drawn. I forget the name of the artist. Check it on Wikipedia or Amazon. Or, if you're Nacho Man, you could just sort of comment on it and correct us in the comments box.
Yeah, he'll know.
He will.
He'll
just a quick Alfonso Cuarón. Sidebar. Alfonso Cuarón, Mexican, not Spanish. That's a correction on our last episode. Thank you, Nacho Man, for that. So it's a really good comic. Well worth a read. And if the film is as good as the comic, then I'll probably really enjoy the film. So, yeah.
Okay. Will we move on to the review?
Let's go for it.
Okay, so again, we kind of foreshadowed a bit earlier on, and I suppose we'd better say now, spoiler alert. We will not try and be too graphic, but some spoilers for something that may or may not be in cinemas at the moment. My boob and Benji's belly. No, sorry. Captain America, the Winter Soldier. Long-awaited Marvel sequel. The next chapter in Phase 2 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Yeah. It was really good, wasn't it?
It was really good. I personally have been a big fan of, just to précis for anyone who isn't that familiar with us, Malc is a huge comic fan, especially a Marvel fan. I am more of a casual comics fan. I read them, but not to any great extent. I'm not a collector, and I'm more sort of towards the indie kind of stuff. But I've really enjoyed Marvel Cinematic Universe so far. I think most film fans, certainly blockbuster fans, have been following it, with one or two slight hiccups. Hulk wasn't great. Iron Man 2 has a lot of detractors, but the Phase 2 has been really successful so far. Iron Man 3 was very good.
Iron Man 3 was great, and I will fight all the Mandarin haters.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if there are Mandarin haters out there, go and watch Hail to the King.
Yeah.
And you will see just how marvellous.
You get to have your cake and eat it. It's great.
Thor: The Dark World was likewise very, very good. Perfectly enjoyable. Well acted by most of the cast. Hemsworth.
Hemsworth's fine.
He's fine, but he should be better than fine.
No, he's perfect.
And now Captain America: The Winter Soldier. The third and potentially, possibly best of the ones so far.
I think it's I said, and I'm putting this on the record, hands down the best of the sequels. I'm putting it out there.
Okay.
So Thor 2, Iron Man 2 and 3, and this, I think Cap 2 takes it.
Okay.
Possibly the best of the standalone movies.
Fair enough.
I don't think it's quite enough to... It's enough to make me have the conversation with myself, Avengers, Winter Soldier. Mm-hmm. But the sheer fun and the joy of seeing all the Avengers together finally, nothing's going to topple that until possibly Age of Ultron.
In hindsight, I would say that in that argument, the Avengers is always going to be my number one.
Yeah. So
it's a very small gap down to Cap and whoever else is with him.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great movie. What do we like about it then?
All right, well, the cast, first of all. The cast were really, really good. Chris Evans is as good a leading man as the Marvel over have.
Yeah.
He's as good a leading man as blockbusters have. He's not got the sort of the sharp wit of Downey Jr., but then the character doesn't. You know, he plays a very straight man very, very well.
He handles the emotive stuff great.
He does, doesn't he?
There's the moment when he's visiting Peggy.
Yeah.
And we've got Hayley Atwell under a combination of age makeup and CG polish. Really good. It's good age makeup. I've maybe seen better. It's not Benjamin Button good. Better than Prometheus. There's a wide set of goals.
Yeah. It's good. It's good makeup. But Hayley Atwell's very good.
And yeah, she's
really I love that she came back for the cameo. I think she's trying for a job as a Marvel TV series lead, isn't she?
Yeah.
For, Agent Carter of S.H.I.E.L.D., which, yeah. If you've watched the one shot, she's very good.
She's really good in it, Carrie. And yeah, and there's this moment where they have a conversation and it's great, and then her eyes kind of go, and she's forgotten who she's talking to. She's got Alzheimer's or something, and she sort of.
I think it's McGregor syndrome.
Oh, of course, stage 2.
Stage 2,
it's uncurable.
Yeah,
if you had the little blue things, you could cure stage 1,
yeah.
But not stage 2. And yeah, she forgets him and then recognises him anew, and she starts going, "Oh, Steve, you died, but you're here," and all Chris Evans does is just react. There's just this moment, this look comes over his face, and it breaks my heart.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
It's just proper acting, happening right in front of your face in a big superhero movie with guns and explosions and stuff. And there's just this little moment of just human heartbreak, and I love it.
I think for Chris Evans, you need to see 3 films. You need to see Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah.
You need to see Sunshine, and you need to see the first Captain America to see just how good Chris Evans can be.
Yes.
And in this, you will see the quality of him in all those 3 films coming out.
Yeah.
He's really good. Anthony Mackie as the Falcon is really good. I was very much prepared to be very annoyed by him as a character, and I've never seen him in anything before.
Yeah, didn't know Anthony Mackie.
But I thought, sort of sidekick, the Chris Tuckers or the...
Yeah, is he going to be bratty? Is he going to be wisecracking?
But he's actually really good. He's funny. He's acerbic. He's witty. He's great. He's really, really good. The character's well written, and he plays it brilliantly.
I was going to say credit to now that I could be wrong. You won't be as familiar with Falcon from the comics.
I am not as familiar with Falcon from the comics.
But yeah, credit to both to Anthony Mackie and to the screenwriters actually, because they've lifted him pretty well off the page. He's the fact that he's so comfortable speaking to Cap as an equal when a lot of people are intimidated by Cap. It's maybe not so much been shown in the cinematic universe yet, but certainly in the comics, when he gets thawed out, he's a big deal, and people are just, oh yes, anything, Mr. America. Oh, we're honoured, And I love that he's not arrogant, and he doesn't give Cap a hard time and stuff, but he's quite comfortable to just shoot like it is.
They're both soldiers.
Yeah, and they understand each other, and I thought that translated from the comic into the film very well.
Yeah.
And the chemistry between the two of them is great. That opening scene where they first meet, when they've been jogging around the monument and that.
Yeah. But if you compare Anthony Mackie to Terrence Howard in the first Iron Man, that is a guy who is trying to be the cool sidekick. Yeah. And I was completely behind the Don Cheadle change. I love Don Cheadle.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that Terrence Howard was a bad... He's not a bad actor, but he's a bad choice for that movie.
It was a bad fit.
And I think Anthony Mackie does the Don Cheadle thing. I'm not just saying that because they're both black. Just to clarify. No, I'm hearing myself speak now.
Yeah, but it's
the superhero sidekick thing I'm going for.
Yeah, that's not you. It's the situation.
But he's really
good.
The fact
that it's... Of course, you're talking about Avengers, so instantly you're going to think Avengers leading men. You're going to start thinking of Downey, Evans, Hemsworth, Ruffalo. And Downey's got a black sidekick in his sequel, and so does Evans. So that's not you.
Yeah,
That's not you being a racist. I'm not even saying it's Kevin Feige being a racist, but the way that the colours of the leads has fallen down is.
But he is very good. He's very good.
Good, yeah.
Samuel L. Jackson is brilliant. He's always good as Nick Fury, and this is a film where Nick Fury plays a big part, so we get to see more of him. That's great.
Yeah.
Scarlett Johansson proves for the third time in a row that she's really, really good, and she needs,
I'm getting more and more fond of her with each subsequent film.
Yeah. I kind of want a Black Widow movie. I know what we were saying last time about what Kevin Feige said.
Yeah.
But I'd like a Black Widow movie. I think she's earned it. She's very good.
Yeah. I mean, I very much want a Ms. Marvel movie as well. But that's keyword is as well. It's not either or.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
We've had like 9 movies featuring the dudes. So bring on the ladies. It's
something that you can't divorce the gender issue from it, because there haven't been any female leads in the Marvel Cinematic Universe yet, and there need to be for gender equality rights. But just in terms of a quality actress and a quality role, she needs her own film.
And a character whose backstory lends itself to lots of awesome movies as well. You know? This sort of you could spin a whole franchise, pardon the pun, out of Black Widow.
Yeah.
She's like this ass kicking lady spy, but with her questionable loyalty, and she started off on the sides of communists, and now she's fighting for the Americans, and that's great. You could have sequels that are out of sync. Like Temple of Doom. Said before. Yeah. So like in one movie we'd be cheering her on and she's fighting the communists, but in the next movie, which is set earlier in her timeline, she's fighting for them.
Yeah.
But she's still the heroine of the film. We're still on her side.
Yeah.
But just politically, the whole axis. You could have so much fun with that.
You really could.
And they wouldn't be expensive either, because they wouldn't need to be big effects laden things. It's not like Hulk fighting a giant monster. If you're doing a Black Widow movie, it's a spy doing gymnastics and kung fu versus other spies. She can fight a giant monster and a giant robot, but that would be silly.
Well,
that would be like Wolverine fighting a giant robot at the end of his movie. Sorry.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah.
I really, really like The Winter Soldier. I actually borrowed The Winter Soldier comics off Malc before the film came out, so I could sort of catch up on who the character is and what his impact is, and I really, really like him. I think Sebastian Stan does a great job. I think his design, he looks really cool with his sort of curtain hairdo and his metal arm and his sniper rifles.
I like the mask.
The mask is very cool.
It's not in the comic. He doesn't wear it in the comic.
It's got the Robin mask, hasn't he? The eyes.
Yeah,
but he has this sort of like, it's almost like a ski mask.
It's like big sunnies, and then
like the kind of mask you wear in cities for the pollution.
It's like Joseph Gordon-Levitt at the start of G.I. Joe, but much better.
I don't remember that.
Oh, you're better off.
Okay. But he's really good. And he's really sort of intimidating, and as a villain, he works really well. He works better than Blonsky. He works better than...
certainly better than Malekith.
Better than Malekith, yeah.
Well, they're all better than Malekith.
He's really good. You get a lot of sort of depth to it later on because of who he is. I don't know if it's a spoiler or not.
I've spoiled a fair few things already.
It's the same actor that played the...
if you were paying attention to the first one, and then you see Sebastian Stan his name anywhere near the credits, you're going to put 2 and 2 together.
But he's really good, and he's well acted. He's got a big forehead.
He does,
which I don't know why it threw me off a little bit.
Your attention's drawn to it by the fact that for much of the film, that's all you can see of him.
But, it's when the mask first comes off how tiny his face is.
Yeah.
And when his hair's slicked back in Cap 1, he doesn't have a big forehead. It's just a camera angle or something. I don't know what it is. Anyway, that's, I'm being silly, I suppose.
Every fight scene is really good.
Yes, the standout being the bridge.
The bridge between Cap and Bucky. Or the whole sequence.
The whole sequence when all 3 of them are involved and they jump off the bridge onto the street and then all around. Whole middle set
starts as a car chase and then it ends up being a shootout. And then, and Cap and Bucky have a fist fight and Widow and Bucky have a fist fight.
It's really good.
It's so good.
It's really good.
It's like the best Bourne sequence, but it's in Captain America. And it's got Captain America in it.
Okay. Objectively, it's sub-Bourne.
Okay.
In terms of the cinematography and in terms of the choreography, it's Subborn.
Yeah.
But because the characters are obviously a lot more beloved and because there's more drama involved than is Matt Damon going to break this guy's arm or break his neck, we know he's going to.
Well, there's also just the sort of the superficial thing as well of there's three of them. You know, in Bourne we've got one hero, and in this one we've got three heroes, one of which is Scarlett Johansson.
It's not putting the fight down at all. It's a really exciting action piece, and it's very, very well done by two guys whose cinema outings involve comedies and whose TV outings involve comedies.
Comedies, yeah.
And here they are making an amazing action sequence.
It's really confident, really assured. The whole film feels like it was made by two guys with a lot more sort of cojones and experience.
It's
than
better than anything Michael Bay has ever done. And he's spent 25 years trying to make films like this.
Yeah. Oh, God, you summed that up so well. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's really cool. Really, really cool. There's so many character moments. I mean, everyone, including myself a minute ago, talks about the action sequences, and they are all great and they stand out. And, you know, the fight choreography is as good as anything we've seen in the MCU. Mm-hmm. Helped largely by the character, because, you know, in the Iron Man movies, it's Downey's face and then a CG construct.
It's not the single best fight in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Okay, which one do you think?
Hulk and Loki.
Of course. Yeah.
Carrying on, sorry.
But yeah, you know, so certainly Cap's physicality and the fact that, you know, it's really of the big four, you know, it's only really Cap and Thor where you're going to see the actor in the fights, because with Hulk it's a big CG model, and with Iron Man it's, you know, cutaways to Robert Downey Jr.'s face, but then again it's a CG model and that. And Cap in particular gets to do more of this kind of traditional, you know, two actors punching each other up, because with Thor it's big, it's flying through things, and it's throwing the hammer at an ice giant, and so you really get some old school thrills with Cap, which I love. But so much more than that is the sort of the character moments and the acting, and like even in the fights, when he's fighting Bucky at the end, and you know the fights are really good. But then there's also there's moments where in the fight they're shouting at each other, and the things they're shouting and their voices are cracking because of the emotion and stuff, and it's so good.
Just to make another reference, it's like what the fight in Revenge of the Sith should have been like. Two friends fight. Yeah,
we've spoken about this movie like loads of times over the last week, and I never made that connection.
Just occurred to me.
That of course it is.
So it's
Anakin and Obi-Wan the way it should have been done.
Well acted, well directed, well shot, and beautifully written with those character moments interspersed with the badass.
When we watched it together, and the fight on the bridge between Cap and the soldier. And you turned to me and just whispered, "That's how you stage a fight in a superhero movie." And I thought, this is exactly what was wrong with Man of Steel. Remember, we got so excited for Clark versus Zod in Man of Steel. Yeah. I'm really looking forward to it. And there is the cool bit where he's flying and punching and flying and punching. But the trouble is the whole fight's like that. Yeah. And there's no bits where your two actors are just getting up in each other's face and acting.
There's no narrative thread to the fight.
Yeah.
And that's what Cap brings.
Very much.
They start with the confusion, the fighting, then there's a realisation of the fighting, then there's the acceptance. There's the acting that happens in the action. And that's what Man of Steel and most other of these big films are missing, is the acting within the action.
Absolutely. It's what makes you care about the characters. And if you don't care about the characters, why would you care about the fight?
You just go and watch some MMA or go and watch a boxing match. If you're watching a film, you need the characterisation. So it's really good.
It's really good.
Smart script.
Yeah, good script. Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely.
That's exactly who it is.
Yep. Who, reassuringly, the same two scriptwriters and the brothers Russo have all been hired to do Captain America 3. Yeah. Based on test screenings for Disney executives about 2 months ago. Yeah. Of a rough cut of this film. And at the time we were like, is this going to turn out well? Was this a smart move? Oh boy, was it a smart move. The fact that these guys have now got 2 years of prep time to churn out the next Captain America movie, I'm so relaxed right now.
And obviously Chris Evans is back in it. Anthony Mackie will be back in it?
Presumably so. I'd be very surprised if he's not signed up for a
Sebastian Stan's up for a 9-picture deal, so he'll be back, I hope.
If you've read the comics, there's a major spoiler in the fact that deal exists, but I'll say no more on the subject.
And the fact that Chris Evans only lasts for another 3 films.
But I wonder what Captain America 3 will be called. Anyway.
Now, one of the things which I disliked about the film, one of the things that I thought that I would have done differently, and this is just me casting my critical eye over it and trying to find something. I didn't really have a problem with it, but it did stand out as something that I wouldn't have done with it. Okay. Is that the final fight, the final action set piece, the whole fifth reel sort of final act sort of thing, it's too big. It plays throughout the film as kind of this political thriller, and sure, there's the big fight on the bridge, and there's the fight in the elevator, and there's the storming of the boat at the beginning, and that's all big, and it's all kind of actiony, and it's bigger than Bourne.
It's still, it's bigger than Bourne, but it's still kind of grounded when you compare it to the end of the Avengers.
Absolutely.
Or even the end of the Thor standalone movies.
Yeah. And Thor, you get big, epic, giant fights because he's a weird alien god. Yeah. God alien.
It's a big dude in a giant red cape.
Yeah. I mean, it's an Iron Man. It's a giant robot suit, and he's got 38 spares, so you can kind of see where that comes from. What I would have really enjoyed in the end of Captain America is if they'd done an Empire Strikes Back with it. The Empire Strikes Back, you have the big battle at the beginning, and at the very end you have the small battle with the characterization. And that's kind of what we had in Cap, and that's kind of why I think it works so well. But it's set amidst this giant fleet of flying gunships,
3 helicarriers,
it's too big. It's too much special effects. It's too much trying to outdo, elements of the Avengers and elements of Thor and Iron Man and the big cargo stall Iron Man suit thing. It's trying to be the next step up. Yeah. And the bits that work the most with Cap are the bits where it doesn't try and step up, but the bits where it is self-assured to say, I'm taking a step down, and we're going to focus on Cap, we're going to focus on Widow, we're going to focus on the characters. That's when it works really well. And when it steps up and you have 3 helicarriers instead of the one, it just gets a bit too computer gamey, in my opinion.
I suppose it could you say that even if you kept the 3 helicarriers and the need to take the 3 of them down, if that was all wrapped up maybe slightly sooner and with slightly less bombast.
Yes.
And then we got Cap versus Bucky in the wreckage of one of them. Or after, the day is ostensibly saved.
Yes, and then we have the character fight.
A gunshot rings out and it's Bucky and...
I think it would have been good if they had got rid of that earlier, like you say, and then there'd have been something involving Robert Redford's office and that whole plot with Bucky and Cap fighting in the Shield, just galleon in the skyscraper.
I would have really liked, the Cap to turn up to sort of arrest.
Well, whoever needs to be the villain in the non-spoiler.
Yeah. Cap turns up to arrest the villain or take him down. Kind of like the end of. Nope, it's gone out of my head. But a bit like the end of Kick-Ass before it goes mental.
Yeah.
Where they just confront Mark Strong in his office.
Yeah.
And then it all kicks off again. But I would have them, they come in, they confront him in the office, and then Bucky steps out of the shadows. And even though he almost reached him earlier, nope, he's fallen back into the mind thing, and he now has to fight his best friend to get to his enemy.
That I would have preferred. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then at the very end, he gets his shield, and just when the bad guy is about to escape, he screams, "It's just been revoked!" and lobs the shield. And
no, it was Iron Man 3 that had the Lethal Weapon 2 ending. Come on.
Okay.
Shane Black's going to hurt us.
That's the only thing that I didn't like, is that it got a bit too epic with the visuals, which I think was at the cost of some of the character stuff that they'd set up so well earlier. But that's my only beef with it.
Yeah.
Really.
I think it was almost like they felt obliged to have, we need our 42 suits London. Yeah. It's almost like Tony got the docks, Thor got London.
Yeah.
Cap needs something that big, so they wrote something that big. But I think that's something I think maybe not Iron Man, because I think it suited Iron Man 3 fine.
Yes, because Iron Man has that. Iron Man fighting Aldrich Killian is not as personal as Cap and Bucky.
Yeah.
I think if it hadn't been Bucky, if it had been a different villain, I wouldn't have had that beef. But then the film wouldn't have been as good around it. With the depth that brings the character.
I think, although I completely agree with what you were saying earlier about how, because Thor's big and over the top, so he can pull it off as well. But I would have done something similar to Dark World, actually. Now that we mentioned it, I think it could have benefited from being a bit smaller at the end.
Okay.
If they'd played up more of the middle of the film, like we said in the podcast and on previous videos about it, more of the Quest movie. And we've seen, Hiddleston and Hemsworth and Natalie Portman have to go through more more than just the one realm to get to where they're going, and that's the film. So you have the climax take place in the Dark World, rather than the Dark World being in the middle of the film and then London being the climax. Have the climax take place in the Dark World, where you have Thor and Loki side by side confronting Curse and a Malekith who actually got some development.
Mm-hmm.
And then that way you've got... These two are responsible for the death of their mother, which, of course, enraged them, but then also united them. So that's nice and personal, even though these villains aren't connected like Bucky is to Cap with the previous movie. They're not villains from Thor 1, but, you know...
Yeah, there is still...
You could have used the death of the mother as a catalyst to, you know... And I think you could have had a smaller... It would still be an action set piece. It would still be Thor and Curse throwing each other through walls and stuff, whilst Loki and Malekith have a more... like Cap and Bucky style fight, a more two actors just going at each other, you know. Let the powerhouses have the spectacle and the other two have the, you know. And that would have been really nice, just have this four-way...
And then just rename the film Loki the Dark World.
Yeah, well, be done with it, that's true. Because that's the trouble, if you have Loki take out Malekith, I suppose.
I'd have been happy with that, though.
Yeah.
I would have been happy if they had called it Thor and Loki the Dark World and had it as a two-hander. But, you know...
I would have been happy with that if either of the... Or well, say either, if we're talking about the second one only. If the first Thor movie had done the justice I would have liked to see Thor done, then I'd be happy with the franchise being handed over to... I sound bitter and twisted, and I'm not. I love Hiddleston, and of course it's great that he's so celebrated, and rightly so. I do feel Hemsworth's a little hard done by, but more so than that, I feel Thor's a little hard done by. He's a great character who Kevin Feige doesn't like enough. Yeah. Anyway, this isn't about him. This is about Cap.
Yeah. So one of the best things in the Cap movie, one of the funniest sort of throwaway gags, is a little list that Cap keeps.
Ah, yes.
Of all the things that he has got to catch up on from 1945 to 2012 when he came out of the ice.
And we're never told the date, but we take it as the date it was made. Yeah.
And he's got things like Star Trek / Star Wars, I Love Lucy, and some other funny stuff. So we were coming up with our own lists. And we invite you to do the same, either in the comment section or a video reply or whatever. What would you write down in a list for Cap to catch up on? What are your essentials? And we've each got 5 things for various reasons. And who wants to go first? Will I go first?
You go first, yeah. You.
Okay. My number 1, and I'm sorry if my mum ever watched this or my gran, my number 1 is internet porn. Partly because A, it's a huge thing. Family Guy make a big joke out of it. I think a lot of guys out there can relate. Secondly, because they make an internet joke, and maybe it's because I watched too much Family Guy and too much South Park, but in my head I was thinking, is there a porn joke coming? And there wasn't, because Cap's above that. But it did seem like there should have been one, even if it wasn't Cap that said it. But
if Falcon had kind of nudged him and
yeah. Like maybe I watched too much adult cartoons, but it did seem to me like it was... they were wanting to put one in there. Secondly, Akira Kurosawa. For me, as a film fan, I want to say film buff. I think I'm a film buff in training. I think I'm like, I'm getting there.
You're a film buff.
But Kurosawa for me is like the ultimate blend of art house, sort of I love myself filmmaking fandom, and also really, really good action cinema. His action scenes are fantastic. His sword fighting duels and the end of The Seven Samurai is one of the best action sequences put on film. I think he's the perfect blend of art house and blockbuster, and I think that most Western films that I really enjoy have an influence of Kurosawa in them. Certainly most filmmakers that I've met never met any famous ones, they all talk about Kurosawa, so even though they are trying to sound impressive, it's a thing, it's a cliche for a reason.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think I would have anyone watch the 5 big Kurosawa films: Hidden Fortress, Yojimbo, Seven Samurai, Ran, and the one where he's going back, he's telling the story over and over. It's
Groundhog Day.
It's the usual suspects, but Japanese. Rashomon. Those are the 5 that I would say Cap should watch, and anyone should watch. Skyrim is my number 3. Skyrim. I think Skyrim is the pinnacle of computer gaming. It's the pinnacle of fantasy. It's what Tolkien was trying to do with his books. But he didn't have computer games back then. He had to write books. But I think Skyrim is the most perfect fantasy world to live in. And the fact that you can have a sword and fight dragons is amazing. And I love it. And I think that Bethesda should have been hired to make the Lord of the Rings games, and they'd have been amazing. They'd have been the best things ever, but they didn't. No one was that clever, so they just made their own world. Well, they made their own world in the early 90s, but they went and made Game 5 in their world, and it's amazing. I love it. I love Skyrim. GTA 5 can kiss my ass.
I second that.
And IMDb is the next thing. I think IMDb is possibly the website which I go on the most, just because I'm so...
Apart from point number one.
Apart from point one. Mostly because, I want to know about films, and IMDb has it all. It's a really, really good website. And the forums are both a place of wonder and a place of evil. Evil for all the trolls that go on there and the people that know nothing, and wonder for all the friends you can make on there. We're part of a thread which has some of the 3 or 4 of the coolest people I've ever met online, hanging out. And I don't post there as often as I should. And for the record, Motorman, I absolutely love the packet of stuff that I received. You're a legend in your own time. You really are. So
I also second that.
IMDb. And also Apollodyne also for the stuff that you sent me. And Darkstrom, just, you're also cool.
Stay awesome, man.
And Clara is also really cool. That's a little group of people who deserve a shout out. Yeah. Finally, what did I put? Smartphones. Smartphones are the thing that I think Captain America should have. You have the entire wealth of human information in your hand, and you look at cats.
The thing is, with the exception of Skyrim, he can actually use your point 5 to do all the other points you said. He could watch Kurosawa on his smartphone,
stopping occasionally for internet porn,
and then afterwards he could discuss it on IMDb.
Yeah. All right. So just one thing:
it's
smartphones,
full circle,
and Skyrim. Yeah, that's my list. That's what I would have him catch up on.
Cool. That's a good list. I don't think I can top it. I'll try.
Okay.
Okay. 5 things I would get Captain America to catch up on once he come out of the ice. I think the most important thing, both in terms of pure enjoyment and, frankly, on a practical level at this stage, Captain America comics, I think, would be a source of valuable information for Steve Rogers upon coming out of the ice.
Yeah.
It's the only thing that makes any kind of sense.
That would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Try and get some of the more recent stuff as well, so you know what's coming up for you.
Yeah. Spoilers, So yeah, that would be one thing. Number 2, The Wire. And I say that because you all expected me to say Breaking Bad. No. Awesome TV shows of that ilk, I think, in general.
TV's really good at the minute.
Yeah. TV dramas, when they're done well, particularly HBO.
Mm-hmm.
Breaking Bad's not HBO, is it? But The Wire, Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Sopranos was HBO, wasn't it? Yeah. So and all the networks that do them well, they deserve a shout. But I think The Wire would be a good place to. I don't think he would enjoy it in the sense that he'd enjoy it as much as one enjoys well written, well acted dramas, but also as a snapshot of just how bad things can get and how badly we need Captain America. Not just on foreign soil, but domestically, said the Scotsman. You know what I mean?
We are the 51st state, so that's
yes,
fine.
That's true. Yeah, I think it gives him a window into a world that needs him to make a difference, and Heimdall's in it. So Marvel Cinematic Universe connections. So that would be number 2. Number 3, Street Fighter 2. And by extension the whole franchise. But if he has to just pick one, Street Fighter 2 on the SNES.
Not the Turbo.
Yeah, okay, Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Yeah. It's great fun. The soundtrack kicks ass. It will be in your head for days. You'll be really good at it. Plus, there's a chance that he'll pick a few things up. I'd like to imagine he'll let out an unintentional sonic boom or Hadouken when he's chucking the shield at someone. And then
comb his hair.
And then, yeah. Actually, I really hope he goes, Tiger, uppercut. Even though Sagat's the least Captain America character in that game still. Street Fighter 2, it should be part of everyone's life. If there's anything from the 32-bit era that I want Cap to soak up, it's that. I've got 2 left. One of them is that Groundhog Day joke I made about 10 minutes ago that I don't think got the attention it deserved. So I will use Captain America to shine a light on that.
I feel like I'm in Groundhog Day now. With these jokes, just keep coming back.
Sorry.
And back.
Oh, that was meta. That really worked.
Good. I like it, yeah. Deep. Yeah. You can analyse that if you want for a course.
And number 5 on things I would like Captain America to catch up on. Tolkien.
All right.
When he's finished playing your game, he can curl up and read some books.
Okay.
Some proper old school fantasy books.
You're just a literary snob. That's what it is. You look down on me because I chose a game, the lowest art form, and you want a book.
Can I just point out, right before you chose the game, you were banging on about Kurosawa.
Yeah.
And I left you alone.
Yeah.
And didn't jump on you and called you a snob.
All right. You should have
done. And then I went for the reasonably more layman-esque Tolkien.
I'm a massive hypocrite. What do you want? I'm fully aware of this. So are you. So are the viewers, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah, there we go. That's what I'd have.
Cool.
I just can't pick.
So,
tell us what you would.
What would you do? Comments, emails, just get in touch with us
video
somehow.
replies,
Twitter, at Malc Benjy.
Tweet us, yeah.
Yeah, we've got one very quick feature just to run through, related again to Cap before we cap off.
Boom, boom.
And that is, if we were building a team of extraordinary individuals, a league of extraordinary gentlemen, if you will, for the 1939 to 1945 Second World War, for that kind of era, and we're looking at sort of pulp things here. We're not looking at real things. Obviously, it was a real war with real horrors. We're looking at it from more sort of a pop culture kind of viewpoint. So no offence intended, and we apologise to anyone who might get offended by this. Turn off now. If you've got personal links to the Second World War, turn off now and just log in next time to watch the next video, because it has nothing to do with the Second World War. But here's our team of Nazi fighters, of badass Nazi fighting, truth-giving,
freedom-loving
heroes.
Yeah.
So first of all, we have Cap. Obviously, he is the leader of the team. He is the super soldier. He is, he is the gloved fist of democracy, fighting the Nazi.
Feel the righteousness surging.
His second in command. I'm saying second in command. I'm just giving him ranks here. I hope you don't mind this.
I'll wade in if I disagree.
Is the badass, scalp taking, hard talking, Nazi fighting Lieutenant Aldo Raine from Quentin Tarantino's Inglourious Bastards. He's not as good a fighter as Cap because he hasn't got super soldier serum, but he's a badass all the same.
Thing is, he's also Achilles, so he's a pretty badass fighter.
He does have an Achilles heel though, doesn't he?
Oh, he does have an Achilles heel.
Which isn't, I guess, not a good pun. That I'm sorry. Then we have our book smart guy, the guy with all the information on the occult and the sort of the supernatural.
It's important to know though that although he's book smart, this is a dangerous time, so he needs to be able to roll a few punches.
And he is more competent than most. Your friend and mine, Dr. Indiana Jones.
Oh yes.
Who is my favourite film character of all time.
Henry Jones Jr.
And I would have him as the leader, except, Captain America.
Captain America throws his mighty shield.
Yeah, all right. Next up is the muscle of the team, the indestructible one, the one that cannot be killed. He's been in the 80s now for 30 years going on.
It's still going strong.
Yeah, man.
The most prominent member of the
fighting hellfish. Abe Simpson.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, if you've seen the flashbacks in The Simpsons to his World War II days, even though that would put him in his 110s by now, probably, he is a badass to be reckoned with. Next up, we have...
He's great because he can actually call Cap a young whippersnapper.
He can, can't he?
Yeah, which is good.
Next up is George Smiley, Spy Master Extraordinaire, played by two of the greatest actors ever to walk the face of the earth, one of whom is currently the best living actor, and one of whom is the best dead actor. George Smiley, the man who came in from the cold. Is he Tinker Tailor Soldier or Spy? Probably Spy.
He's definitely Spy.
Yeah. He would be the intelligence guy. He was never a soldier. He was a spy. He was an awesome spy though. So he's the intelligence bod. He's the guy that goes behind the scenes and does all.
He would work quite closely with Indy when Indy's in profession.
I think he would. Yeah.
Think.
Oh yeah.
And then Indy will fedora up and head out with the other guys, and yeah.
And finally,
this is my favourite pick.
This is absolutely the best pick. From the unproduced and yet widely available Nick Cave script for Gladiator 2, which features a dimension hopping, as in underworld to real world, Hades, the afterlife, vaunting through time, fighting gods and mythical creatures. Maximus Decimus Meridius, star of Gladiator. It's our Russell Crowe nod. And he's in World War II in one bit in the
script. Well,
is
there definitely a World War II sequence?
There's a montage of him travelling through time. It implies, so. Yeah. So he'd be our last guy, and he's also immortal. probably. And he gets to say
yeah.
things like, "I am gladiator," or "I am soldier."
I like to think, as lethal as Maximus is in Gladiator, I think it's going to be great to see him travelling through time.
Yeah.
Because when they invent the phone, his ability to dish out damage is going to skyrocket.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Phone checker.
That's a great joke. Well done for inventing that.
Thank you.
So there we go. There's our team of Nazi fighting heroes from World War II. If you have your own team to draw up, or you'd like to sort of comment on our choices, again, please post comments to the video. Go on our Twitter feed. Go on our blog. There'll be addresses and all sorts in the links, wherever the links may be. And yeah, thank you for watching, and keep an eye out for the next video.
Bye now.